he was on some set where the director literally said, we added another character just because we liked your tape and we wanted to include you somehow. And it's like, that's the industry that we're in. There's no job that you'll ever find where it's like, hey, we're looking for a marketing associate. You know what? We just created another job just to give you some money because we like you. Like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But in this industry, it does. And that's the crazy thing is like,
because it's all
you could
make-believe
literally,
anyways.
that's what I mean. Like, none of it is real.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 30 of The Johnny Rogers Show. The date today is Thursday, February 24th. I'm saying that because we are now releasing our episodes on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So those of you watching that now, because we may start talking about what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. So if we touch on something and you're like, no, all of this stuff happened now, that's why. But my guest today is a returning guest, an alumni already from the Johnny Rogers Show. Please welcome Jared Bronstein.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Am I the first returning guest?
First returning guest that accepted my offer. Yes.
Go. Oh. I was gonna say, man, I was like one of the first guests. So I'm like, it couldn't be. You would have seen that many people that you could have come before me, but still, this is I feel like this is the start of, who's someone that has that relationship with like Kimmel or Fallon. They're always on like regularly. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm that guy. Whoever that is, I'm that guy.
I want people to be like, oh, I've been on the Johnny Rogers Show like 7 times. You know what I mean? Like it's a number.
Like I want to be your Joey. You know what I mean? You could be Joe, I'll be Joey. I'll just light up a joint. What's up, cock sniffers?
But in our own caring way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In our own Canadian way, I should say.
Hey there, bud.
Yeah. Hey there, cocksucker. You still do the same, like, it's like Joey
same
Diaz,
words,
but make him Canadian.
Yeah, 100%. Today's all about you and light up a joint and, scratch your balls and give it a sniff.
Yeah, so I know you chose Perseverance for your episode title today. Mainly about acting, but do we want to touch on, I feel like we should touch on at least what's happening right now as of today, because it's just
100%. Yeah, no, definitely big elephant in the room for sure, which I will tell you right off the bat, like I'm not too educated on it. So if I say something that someone's watching,
entertainers.
Yeah, like I'm not, I've been on Twitter all day. That's that's the form of my education on it. But yeah, it more or less seems like Putin was kind of just like, fuck it, it's time to start war. I don't really care about the sanctions, and that was that.
Yeah, which doesn't really send a strong message to everyone else who's looking to just snatch territory. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. China's looking back now and sitting and looking at Taiwan like, no, maybe we can.
Dude, I read there's like they had like some aircraft fly through through Taiwan, and like they were like, well, hold on a second, like what's
the other thing that I was losing it over? Losing it because it was hilarious. Was The Weeknd just had the worst timing ever on Twitter.
I saw that. It was the one, yeah.
I gotta pull this up. Like, so, let me share a screen here once I get it.
I don't know what exactly it was, but it was like, like Russia invades Ukraine, and then the Weeknd was like,
let's go.
Let's go. That's what it was. Awful, man. It was awful.
Awful timing.
Oh my God.
In between two tweets from CBS News of being like, NATO says Russia has begun attacking Ukraine moments after Vladimir Putin announced that he had decided to conduct a special military operation. And The Weeknd's like, let's go.
Just fired up about it. I can't wait.
Just immediately turned on his PS4 and started playing Call of Duty. Like, bad timing.
Oh boy. Bad times for sure.
It's just weird. It's weird times too, because this is going to be one of the first, like, if it does, I mean, I hope not, but like if it goes any further, it's going to be one of the first times that we have like social media during like a major crisis,
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah. Cause I feel like even, like even going back, like not even talking about World War I, World War II, even like 9/11, there was no, social media app where people were sharing things in real time. You just saw it CNN had that recurring video, Fox had that video. That's kind of all you saw, right? Like now, when there's any kind of crisis or war of any kind, you see it like immediately on Twitter, which, there's two sides of it.
Yeah.
There's the side of like, you see it firsthand for what's happening, but then there's the other side of like, people manipulating certain things to make it seem like it's so that's also the very scary part, right?
Yeah, that was the thing, like at the beginning, was so many people were saying like, oh, the US is just like fear mongering, and like they're saying that Russia's going to invade, but they're not actually going to do it, and they're just putting these sanctions on as a warning, and then like they did end up doing it. So it was like, that's the problem, is when you have such a divided like consciousness in the West right now. It makes it almost impossible to make decisions, because no matter what you do, the other half is immediately going to hate that decision.
100%. And it's like there's division there's already division, especially now in, let's say, the States, when it's like, not like now's the time where we gotta just all be American. In our case, all be Canadian, or all be American and Canadians together, whatever's going on.
Yeah, you're like, I'll be half Canadian, half American.
Yeah, like there's no time now to debate, like vaccines and mandates. Like, this other country is pretty much threatening nuclear war.
Yeah,
you got to push that shit aside.
And
like now we're all the same, and we are all on the same team, regardless of what you believe right now. Like,
needs to help the Ukrainians too. Like, that's insane. I couldn't imagine just like all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, here comes another country.
Bombs going off, like that's literally
heartbreaking.
Not like slow. It was literally, they're at the border, and I read that is it Kiev? Is that one of the is that the capital? Apparently, they just blocked the border there. Like, they were trying to escape.
Yeah. Well, I think most people are escaping through to Poland or something now.
Yeah, I was reading like Poland, Hungary, I think Romania, like all the neighboring countries, bordering countries, have been like, come, like, if you can, get here as quick as you can. Like the NATO allies, obviously. And I read that Russia already took over Chernobyl. Like, they fully now have control of it completely. And it's like, why do they want all that nuclear waste? What are they going to do with that?
That's of Thursday, February 24th, 6:25 p.m.
Yeah, hey, shit's been changing all day, so I don't want to,
Yeah, it changes by the second, so I'm just like letting people listening
But
know.
even like with the SWIFT Act, which I don't even fully understand that, it was like the banking, and I was reading that apparently, again, this is what I'm reading off Twitter, so I haven't really looked too much into it. But
Freedom
apparently,
Fighter 965 told me.
Yeah, exactly. MAGA fan 2828. They were saying that like the SWIFT Act it's like all the international currencies are a part of this, so it's like they could trade currencies, and they were pretty much cutting Russia off. But I was reading like Italy, Hungary, Cyprus, and one other country were against it. They were against like cutting Russia off from the SWIFT banking agreement.
Yeah.
And people were like, you're just making matters. Like, why would you? Oh, Germany.
You're just like antagonizing them, basically.
Germany, yeah. So they're just like, why would you continue to allow them to have funds? Like, just let's all agree to cut them off, and they'll have no funds. They can't exchange any currency with us. And it was Germany, Hungary, Italy, and Cyprus. We're all like, no, let them keep kind of it. Now, again, I could be wrong. I might be speaking out of ignorance. This is what I read on Twitter. So I don't get all my news from, I usually fact check and really look into it. But I was at work.
Comments, and they will.
Yeah. I was at work, and I was kind of just like trying to understand what was, because again, it all happened so quick. So I'm like, what's the SWIFT Act? Like, why are these countries against it? There's also clips of Biden like talking about it, and he's like laughing. Like, he's not laughing, but it's like almost how I'm talking now. But it's like the difference is I'm not the president of the fucking United States. Like, if I talk about it,
Yeah. We're just we're kind of adding a bit of a smile to what we're saying. Is like, God, I hope this is like, it's uncomfortable. It's a natural like reaction to like,
it's like a self-defense mechanism, right? It's like a right. This is
right there,
But like with Biden, it's like you got to be, as the president, like you got to be stoic. Like, this is our country. We're not gonna let the Russians. It's like, why are you smirking?
We're not gonna let Putin come in here.
You know what I mean?
Back around the potatoes and
and then also with CNN, there, did you see the clip of the Ukrainian sirens are going off, and then it just cuts? Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my God, dude! It's CNN, and it literally says Ukraine sends off alarms for bomb warnings. Like, wow. only tomorrow at Applebee's can you get this great deal. And it shows someone like pouring a beer and some cowboy like dancing for the
My
Applebee's commercial. And
God.
people are just all over Twitter like, this has to be the absolute worst timing of all time.
That's ridiculous. Like, it just. Oh, hold on. You good?
Yeah, I'm just trying to tell my parents to
you're
keep it
trying to
down because
pull it.
they love to yell here. So I don't know if
It's
you
okay.
I don't know if you're
I
hearing that
can't
at all, but
hear
they're on
him.
their
No,
phone
I
like
can't
they
hear
like
him.
talk on the phone on speakerphone, and it's like, you know, I don't knock living with your parents. If you gotta look, I'm 28,
I do if
almost
they
28.
talk on speakerphone.
You know, that's what I mean. It's like I live with your parents as long as you can. Save your money. I don't want to live with my fucking parents. Okay. It's not
No.
about being 28. It's not about I'm embarrassed. I don't give a shit about that. It's as a fucking entertainer. Got auditions. I got YouTube videos, and just while you're in the middle of, an audition, just to hear, yeah, well, that's what I was saying yesterday. It's like, mom, like I literally feel like someone in high school. Like it's ridiculous. So yeah,
Yeah. You gotta get that
number one rule.
apartment, bro.
Yeah, I live in Toronto though. Like, how am I gonna?
Find somewhere
Unless
else.
I really me too at this rate. Fuck.
If you got a car, dude, just pick a different city.
I might
Man,
just
maybe
live out of my car
Toronto.
at this rate, dude.
Yeah. Hey, if you,
Honestly,
like you can
like,
do shit from home and then just like find a way to transport yourself to the shoots or wherever like the second
yeah,
follow-up audition is. It goes to what the subject for today's episode is: persistence.
yeah,
Persistence? No, perseverance. Jesus.
perseverance, same thing, right?
Same thing,
More or less the
right?
same
Yeah.
thing, same
Perseverance
idea.
is persistence. Same idea. But
Yeah,
yeah, the word is perseverance though for the episode.
yes,
But yeah, with acting, like it really trains you to like be able to problem solve. Like it really, really helps with that. Like, because the shit that you have to do sometimes to like organize your schedule or like
yeah,
work around whatever is happening in your household while you're trying to record those auditions, it's just fuck.
yeah, dude. I'll give you a prime example. I got an audition, I think earlier today, and it's a short one. It's only like 2 lines or so, very very short. I'm gonna do it after our podcast. And that was through my agent. I also got a student film audition because I'm trying to do more student films just to kind of get the experience, be in front of the camera. It's ignorant before where I was like, I went to school, I don't have to do free stuff. No, if you're an actor, you always want to be acting, free or not. As a comic, you don't only do paid stand-up gigs. You go to open mics. You just do it to
Yeah.
work on your material, right? So that's part of the conversation we could have, is just having that persistence of just doing it for the reason you want to do it, not for the money. But yeah, so I have, I have a student film audition, which is like 2 or 3 pages that I haven't memorized yet. It's due tomorrow morning. I got 2 liners from my agent. I have a commercial audition. All that I have to do, and it's like, oh, why didn't you do it before the podcast? It's 6:30 right now. I was at work from 9 to 5. So it's like, while I'm at work doing my job, I'm going over the lines to try to get them down while I'm supposed to be doing my job. So I'm trying not to, get myself in trouble for
Yeah.
not doing my job while pursuing my career. Obviously, I want to do this aside from just catching up with you and chatting. This is fun, but it's also, again, for a career move for people to see what's going on in my life, because I'm not that active on social media anymore. I'd prefer something like this where it's like a long formed, not so much condensed, but like everything in one place, than randomly posting stuff on
Yeah.
my story. And I try to stay active on
Yeah,
social
man.
media,
I felt
but
that too.
I just
It's
realized, like, we got friends that are influencers, and they're doing great. It's just not for me. I can't do it. It's not the lifestyle that I want, and I don't care enough to, like, it's just not who I am. I don't want to say manufacture a version of me that I'm not, but it's like I tried to be an influencer, and I tried to do that like lifestyle of always posting and what I'm doing, but I'm like, this, like, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it to pursue like this
yeah. I'm using
idea.
it as like promotion.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not really who I am. And I'm like, I think people that follow me and support me don't want a like, they want to just see me as a person, not as a manufactured
Yeah.
version, right? And I felt like the whole influencer thing was very manufactured for me. Now, there are people that that's just who they are, and they just make it work. And it's business, but it's also, they're authentic to who they are. It just wasn't me. Like, I even looked at pictures of me, the topless photos of me on Instagram, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm an actor. Like, why am I posting this? Who's this for?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
You're
that's why,
thirst
like, a lot of my
trapping.
posts, literally, and it's truthfully, it's when I was single. Now I have a girlfriend. Like, I don't need that shit out there because I don't
Yeah.
care. Like, I don't need
Yeah,
people seeing
exactly.
that light of
Put
me.
that shit on my OnlyFans.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna charge for it if I'm gonna post it.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to make a point to post more acting stuff, and I haven't posted on my account since like November. And I've had content from like a short film I did in January that I've been meaning to post. It just doesn't take precedent. Like for me, this is more important, you know, for me, making YouTube videos is more important. And it's like, yeah, how long does it take to post a quick video or photo on Instagram? Not that long. But it's one of those things that it's like, oh, okay, fuck, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and you know, right now I'm focused on this and my auditions. So I'll post on Instagram tomorrow. Then tomorrow's gonna come and I'll have other shit I gotta do. It's just
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
priority for me. And that's not to say that it's not important, but I'm starting to realize social media isn't everything. Before I was very much so in this mentality of like, if you want to be an actor, you gotta have a big social media following, you'll get more auditions, people will like you because you're social media famous. None of that matters, man.
yeah.
Like
No,
you get the role, then you're social media famous. And then who
sure.
cares? Like
Yeah,
it's not
the number thing is an obsession of our age group, especially because we came up early. Like we were in like a
yeah, man.
developmental phase when these like social media apps started taking off, right? So like we have an obsession with that number count. Like, oh, it's got
Yeah.
to be this many likes or this many followers, or else I can't get this opportunity. It's just another thing to blame your problems on, right? But it's like,
And
sorry, go ahead.
I just feel like though it's different for younger generations. Cause I feel like for us, you know, 5 years ago, like 10,000 followers that was a lot of people.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Like that was like, oh wow, you're like an influencer. You got 10,000 followers. Now it's like, you know, I have almost 18,000 followers and they've been going down because I don't post shit. But it's like people are like, oh, I'm like, that's a lot of people. No, yeah. It's like now like 100,000 is like a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you really think about like even 1,000 people, if you try to visualize 1,000 people, that's a lot of fucking people.
I can't. It's hard to visualize. Like
That's what I mean, right?
you always go to like stadiums. Like, what does a stadium hold? You know, like 20,000 or something. Like,
Do
that's
you know
a
how many people that is?
that's a lot of fucking
It's
people.
crazy.
A sold out stadium. That's the amount that follows you on Instagram.
Like,
Like, if every single one of them like just showed up to a spot that you were like, hey, let's meet here, it would be a stadium. You'd need to
it'd be
rent
like
out a
the
stadium.
ACC.
Yeah. And then you'd have to
Like for
turn to that
me,
guy and be like, are you sure this isn't a lot of fucking people? Because all of these people have one interest, me.
right? And it's I think
Crazy.
the not newer generations, but I think over the years we've almost become like desensitized to these
Yeah.
numbers because we don't realize like
Because there's so many of them. Like you open up
yeah,
TikTok and everything has like 6 million likes and 20 million views on it. And so numbers are just like,
in
and it's
comparison,
the same thing with money. The same thing is happening with money. I remember when $1 million was like a lot of money. And
yep,
obviously like there's inflation and whatnot, but I'm saying like there's a trend with numbers where we're looking at like
yeah,
$1 trillion now. That's a lot of money. Like, whereas before
or
a
like a
trillion
billion.
was like, it might as well have been made up. Like, you know what I
No,
mean?
literally. Yeah, no, there were numbers that didn't exist, and like now, like the top 1% needs that to be in the top 1%. Like it doesn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Fuck.
not that long ago, $1 million you could live off of. Now, yeah, you could live off $1 million, but it's like depends where you live. Like if you want to live in Toronto and buy a house, definitely not. Yeah, you could rent the rest of your life, but a property in itself is going to cost you $1 million. Like it's
Yeah, yeah.
as stupid as that sounds. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure you could live in like, you know, a city in like Iowa or like a state that isn't like a major hub like LA or New York or Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's like, especially as entertainers, as you know, comedians, actors, entertainers in general, YouTubers, rappers, whatever it is that we do over the years, doesn't matter. Like you're not going to make it in Wyoming. I hate to say it, unless you're friends with Kanye, like unless you go to his ranch, like,
Unless you're
you
pulling up
know,
to his ranch every weekend,
it's
yeah.
like they know it's like you got to go to LA, Toronto, New York, maybe Vancouver, and it's like everyone wants to be there, so supply and demand. You know, people are going to buy it. We'll just keep charging more until they stop buying it. And on top of that, it's like you have the creatives, but then you just have like, you know, the startups, the everyday businessmen who want to be with a big population. Like this is where the money is, so they just keep pouring more money into it, and
Mm-hmm.
people that have money keep buying it, and it's like a vicious cycle of either you keep up or you get left behind. Like that's you know
Yeah, it's really like, and those major hubs, they don't just like price you out on the real estate market. They also like
everything.
gentrify everything. Like a cup of coffee costs more.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
man.
little things like that. It's like there's
I mean,
a tax for being in the city.
like literally a tax.
Yeah.
Like there's literally the tax on
Yeah.
top of the rise in
Yeah.
prices of everything. Even my insurance, man, I pay like, a decent amount for insurance. I've been driving what, like 11, 12 years now since I was 16. My 16th birthday, I got a license. Never had a ticket in my life. And I tell people what I'm paying. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's because I live here, like in North York. And they're like, oh, that's why. I'm like, but how does
Jeez.
that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. You're like, how is that fine? They're like, why are
Sure,
you
I live
fine
in
with
a
this?
sure I live in an area with a lot of accidents, but given that I've driven here for 12 years without an accident, maybe that tells you something. Like, obviously, I'm not the problem here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, so definitely, yeah, it's definitely just pricey. It's more than just the living; it's everything. It's like the gym memberships, the food, the anything
Yeah.
and everything to
They
do
price it
anything,
so that
and it's
there's a
because they know people
certain,
are going to pay depending on how badly they want it, right?
and it's a certain type of people that they want to stay. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're
Oh, for
hoping
sure.
for by doing that. I don't know who they is, or if it's just a result of a multitude of actions, like out of greed because they want more wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think this is like a grand plan. I think it's just a result
No,
of people wanting to make more money. Like
for sure,
yeah,
and just going
and
where the
knowing they
action is,
can't,
right?
knowing they
Yeah,
can't too, right?
and it's just like knowing, you know, like a lot of people that we know are from like Calgary, and it's like, oh, I'm an actor, but I'm from Calgary. Why'd you move from Calgary? Because they film a lot in Toronto and Vancouver. So it's a lot of those, you know, like the TSX, like the stock market, like the Canadian one is like the Toronto stock market is like the big one. It's in Toronto. I've always kind of said like Toronto is the New York of Canada and Vancouver is the LA. Like aside from the East Right. Coast, West Coast, just in general, it seems it's got that vibe where I've never been out to Vancouver,
Ottawa's
but
like Chicago lately.
yeah, no, but it's
uh,
true, man. It's like we kind of
yeah.
emulate the states a lot. Like I went to Banff and I went to
I guess
Calgary for work
Detroit
in
would
like
have been a better one.
in 2016. I guess that's Windsor's more like Detroit.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Sorry.
but like you know, like growing up in Toronto, obviously, I've spent years in Toronto and in the States, kind of back and forth, Philly, Toronto. And obviously there's like stark differences, but going to like Midwest Canada, like Calgary and Banff, like that was Canada. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Coming back to Toronto, I'm like, okay, like we're like Comerica. We're like a mix
Come
of the two. We're
here.
not Canada. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're not
Nah,
like
nah.
this isn't you don't come to Toronto and be like, oh, I experienced Canada. Like this is not, it's become so Americanized, man. Like Yonge and Dundas Square to me is like Times Square. They have the big screens, they
Yeah.
got the big open
It's
concept,
exactly what
whatever's
they
going on
wanted.
there. Right. So it's like even little things like that I'm like, this is it's so Americanized. Like we got the subway station where people just piss and shit all over the place now. It's very New
It's
York.
nasty, dude. I do not miss any of that.
So yeah,
Those
it's very
subways.
Americanized, very, very expensive. Uh yeah. But going back to perseverance, you make
Yeah,
it work
yeah, yeah.
somehow. If you gotta live with your parents, you do it.
That's how like, are you considering at any point like going, because you want to be an actor, so are you
Yeah.
considering like going down to LA full time at all?
I've thought about it a lot. Prior to the whole pandemic, which I don't know if we talked about this. I'm sure we did in the first podcast. I went to LA, as you know, when I was working with you at the studios there. Went for like 3 weeks for pilot season. I was a non-union actor, just being half American. My agent was like, "Go." So I
Yeah.
did it. It was a cool experience. Didn't get any work. Had a few auditions, and then I came back, and it was a pandemic, obviously. But when I was there, I really enjoyed just the lifestyle thing. It's different, and I'm sure it's different now.
Feels
Obviously, 2 years
right.
in, like, yeah, like literally, just I was surrounded by actors. I was going to these parties, meeting people that I had no business meeting. They're like, "Oh, who are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm Jared from Canada. Who are you?" "Oh, I'm this
Yeah.
producer. I'm this. I'm that." And I'm thinking like, I'm so out of place here, but like nobody knows. Like in LA, nobody knows who you are, so nobody's like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
don't belong here." They're like, "Oh, you're
People
from
are
Canada.
actually
That's great."
psyched too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People are actually psyched when you tell them that you're from Canada. It's like
Yeah,
it's such an interesting reaction. They're like, "Oh, that's so cool." They're like, "Oh, great."
yeah. Oh, yeah. How's the industry down there? Like people
up there, I
And
guess.
don't get me wrong, there were a few people there that were like, jaded or like, yo,
Sure.
I'm a celebrity, whatever. But like this mentality of like people in LA are so jaded and like no one's friendly. I want to say like 99% of the people I met, I still follow them on Instagram. Like, we talk. They were very friendly people. And it just, like you said, it just felt right. Like, I just felt like this is it. Like, Toronto feels almost very like showy and like businessy, like Bay Street, which is
Hmm.
like our Wall Street, I guess, for your American viewers
Yeah.
or people that don't know Bay Street. It just seems like very suit, very like, I got to go out downtown to King Street and show how much money I have. And it's like, yes, LA has that side of it too. But it just seems like there are, I guess, are so many struggling artists and actors in LA that everyone gets it. And like even people that are successful, quote unquote, like people that have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, they're verified. They don't have that mentality of like, oh, I'm verified, don't talk. Like nobody cares. They're just like we're all here for the same reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone kind of respects each other for that, I felt. Now again, maybe I just hang out with the wrong crowds in Toronto. I don't know. But from the people I met in LA, it's like it's not what I thought it would be. It was very welcoming. And to answer your question, because I kind of went on a tangent there, but to answer your question about moving there full time, I've kind of told myself before I'm 30, maybe I'll do it. When I was there for a few weeks, I was thinking like, you know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll stay at home and I'll just rent, like I'll sublet a place for 6 months in LA, for the winters, like from October till April, kind of do the winters there and then come back here for the summer and for the Jewish holidays, the high
Yeah.
holy
Yeah. Of
holidays,
course.
Passovers in April, and then, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, the New Year,
Yeah.
September, October-ish, and then back to LA for the winter. So I'm like, it's perfect. I spend the summers here, winters in LA, get the warm weather, Jewish holidays, got to make mommy happy here.
Get those
So it's
acting gigs.
yeah, so and again, I could act in both countries, right? Because I have that dual citizenship. And then obviously the pandemic happened, and I've had friends be like, "Why don't you just go to LA? Like you got nothing to lose, just do it." And I'm like, it's not what it's not what it used to be. You don't physically have to be there anymore. There's no casting
Hmm.
directors that are like, "I'll only see you if you come into the room." They don't want to see you. When I was there for pilot season before the pandemic was even a thought, obviously it was in China and people were like nervous, but it wasn't in California. No one cared. It wasn't
Hmm.
coming here. It was just like anything else where we're like, oh, it's their problem. We're not going to worry about it. We didn't think it would lead to a worldwide pandemic for fucking 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't being brought in. Had nothing to do with COVID. Just had to do with like my agent being like, "Here's Jared, a Canadian actor," and casting directors be like, "Yeah, send in the tape. We're not wasting our time driving down to the." Now they didn't say this, but it's like, in Toronto, I would always go into the room for auditions. In LA,
Yeah.
like unless your agent could really sell you and be like, "He's in this, he's in this, he's in this," you're going to be seen for roles. They're like, "We don't need to see you in person. Just send us a tape, and if we like you, we'll call you."
Yeah.
And that's all I got. Now with the pandemic, it's even more like, "Hey,
I
let's do it over
guess
Zoom."
the thing with like living there though, in my opinion, would be to like put yourself in that mentality first of all, but also be available for when like they need something last second, because
Yeah,
like if you say you're living in LA, like because most stuff shoots there. So say you're living there and then they send a tape out, but they're like, or you're like, they're like, send a tape, they send it, and they're like, great, can you be here in 24 hours? Like that's pretty hard to like book a plane flight.
yeah.
You
I
know what I
mean, and
mean?
that's
To
something that I've thought about is like just tell my agent like send me out for stuff in LA, and if they want to see me, I'll fly out. I'll just put it on my credit card. Like I'll just,
yeah,
and by
yeah.
no
You're
means
like,
do I
I'll
have
just
any money.
load
Like
it up and fly out.
I'm still in debt.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
in school debt. Like I'm not in a position where it's like, yeah, daddy's credit card.
But
I'm
it's
fine. Like
it's
I'm.
it's a good investment to take a shot on, especially if they're calling you
That's
up for a
it.
job. Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Like I literally went to LA
You could write it
on
off as an
credit.
expense for that job. You
That
know.
too, wrote
Yeah,
off
yeah.
everything. But I went like on credit thinking I'll come back, I'll work full time. And then I came back and everything shut down. So it really fucked me. But by no means am I, not once have I said I regret it. I was like, it was a great experience. I learned a lot. It was just total investment of like, I know what life is like out there. So next time I go out there, I'll be more prepared. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Honestly, that's the best thing too, is just going there to like kind of scope out the area the first time and
Yeah,
just see
man.
if you like it, and then coming
Yeah,
back you like at least have a better idea of like where shit is. I
for
was so
sure.
grateful to
And
be able to go that one time. I was like, this is like
yeah, so you could just
happy I
see it
made that. Yeah, just I just wanted to be there, just see it,
because
just
it's
walk on
not
the
what it looks
Sunset
like on
Boulevard.
TV.
No, no,
It's not like keeping up with the Kardashians. You know
no,
what I
no,
mean? There's a
no.
lot that
Yeah,
goes on
yeah.
there that people don't film or talk about. Like it's a very weird city. It's a
Did
very
you walk
weird.
by Church of Scientology, like where right on
No.
right in Hollywood. It was crazy, dude. Like it's just
People
this
outside?
massive. No, there's nobody outside, but it's just this massive like blue church. Have you seen the photos?
I don't think so.
I gotta look this up.
But yeah, man, like the street performers, people trying to sell you their tapes on the like on Hollywood Boulevard. Everyone's dressed up as Spider-Man, Margot, or Harley Quinn. Um, Obviously, you got the Walk of Fame. You got all these tourists, people taking pictures. Like it's just such a interesting place. Oh wow.
How insane looking is this? It was huge. Like you could see it everywhere you went downtown. You could look and you could see it. Like it was that prominent right there. This is
Yeah.
the craziest photo.
Jeez. How much was that thing?
I know, right? Like, how much money do they have? That's all of
Right?
Tom
Like
Cruise's money. You're looking at Mission
literally.
Impossible 1 through 3 right there.
It is now. Um,
Jesus.
but yeah, no, it's just an interesting place. Also, not to knock LA, but like it's dirty, just overpopulated. It's like New York.
It's a
There's
lot
just
of
shit
homeless
everywhere.
people.
Yeah, and I just to clarify, I'm not saying it's dirty because of homeless people. That's not what I'm implying by any means. Just like stuff everywhere. Like literally, there's trash everywhere.
Me
There's
putting that
piss on
in
the
though
side.
made that like really
Just
clippable.
clip it. Just clip it and then put it on Instagram. Let
All
it go
those
viral.
dogs, right?
Oh
Right, Jared?
man. Yeah,
All those,
yeah. That's
all
yeah.
those women, too many women. He goes.
All the Jews in there.
Yeah, you said it, not me.
I could say it. I'm
You
Jewish. I
could
can
say
say it.
it. It's so
No,
funny.
but it's like I remember, yeah, like even getting off highways, yeah, a lot of homelessness, but like you would just see like tents, old tents, broken tents. People probably not even living there anymore. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
the
just
tent
stuff
cities are
everywhere,
wild.
you know?
I think it
So
was like 20,000 homeless or 60,000 or something.
yeah,
60,000 homeless
it's
people just in
crazy.
the city of LA.
LA.
Yeah,
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 probably.
yeah.
No,
Which is
it's
like
insane.
3 times the population of my hometown.
And then it got magnified with pandemic of like can't work, but we're still going to charge you for everything. And people being like, how does that make sense? What do you mean?
Yeah, how do I
Like,
pay my
where am I
rent
supposed?
when I can't?
Yeah,
Everything's
like
open. What are you talking about?
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So that added insult to injury. I'm sure it's much worse now. And then there was the whole like exodus where everyone just left LA
Well,
or
because of that
California
was
in
because of
general.
taxes too, right? Like they said the taxes are
A
ridiculous.
lot
Like
of factors though. People
60%
just
or some crazy
people didn't like Governor Newsom. Is that his
Newsom.
name? Gavin
Yeah,
Newsom.
Newsom. Gavin Newsom?
People don't like him. Yeah, a lot of factors. So then that's another thing that I'm like, is Hollywood ever going to return to what it was? Like,
It will, yeah.
it's still
That's the
Hollywood, yeah,
spot.
but I mean, yeah, that's the thing though. Also living there is like, because again, they're very, obviously Ontario is pretty bad with the lockdowns, but California isn't too far back. Like, they're very strict on the mandates and stuff that, I think, is it worth it, at least right now, moving out there to still deal with like before the pandemic, it's like, go to a theater show or go to acting class, meet people, do this, do that. Now, I don't know what the dynamic is of like, is it still people go to acting class and everyone's friends and you kind of mingle or is it you kind of keep your distance because you don't know people and it's a more,
Yeah.
like, does it still have that social, like schmoozing side to it that LA was known for, given how everything's changed now? That's another thing that I'm like, there's no reason to rush there because I don't think people are to the point of like
rushing back out.
yeah, like, hey, come to my theater show. Hey, there was a director in the audience that liked you. Like, are directors going to theater shows? Probably not, because they're like, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer.
About stand-up. Like, I want to get back into doing stand-up shows, and I've been seeing like that they've like the Ottawa comedy community's been doing shows, right? Like, I'm like, oh, cool, they're doing shows again. But I'm just wondering, I'm like, what's the capacity? What's the audience going to be at like any
That's
of
the
these
thing,
places
right?
right now?
Is it like 50%?
If it's just a bar show, it's like what do
10
you
people?
expect? You know what I mean? Yeah. Not to say that that's not like I've done a show in front of 2 people and it's still
I was gonna say one person
valuable.
is better than none, but
Yeah,
at the same
just
time,
getting to do it is great, right? But like,
yeah, of course.
you're just like, what are the rules? When is it going to go back to like
And that's the thing, right?
normal? No, when is it going to go back to the point where like everyone has accepted the normal? They're like, all right, cool, we're all on the same page again about
Yeah,
just this at least.
yeah, and
Let's
that's
keep fighting
part
about
of it too.
Kanye and Kim, but like, let's at least get on the same page about this shit.
Yeah, literally though.
Fight
And that's the
about
thing is
stuff
like,
that doesn't matter.
it's like, I don't know. I mean, some people
I want to
may
make
just
fighting like 19 like about just stupid shit again.
right, like not Civil War
Yeah.
level stuff.
Uh-uh.
So I don't know, man. That's part of it too, is like, you know, right place, right time. But it's like, is there really a right place given our current, like, are people really going anywhere to be in the right place? That's why I'm like, I'm not rushing out there, because it's like, let things kind of, not only there, but like, even for me, like, let me get my shit together. Like, I working as a DJ and an MC. I barely worked any events since like early December. Like, I'm just now starting to get booked for events again. So I'm like, let me get my shit together where I could pay off everything and have a good amount of money put away, like an emergency fund. While that happens, hopefully things in LA or California and the world kind of heal and get a little bit more normal. And then, like, maybe in a year from now, which again, it's easier to say a year from now because it's a year from now, a lot could change. But I don't know. A part of me is kind of just like, I've always had the mentality of like, just build the brand here in Canada where it's like easier, quote unquote. I've been here most of my life. I'm being seen by a lot of casting directors regularly who know me. So at least they trust me to bring me in for a lot of roles. And I'm like, let me build a bit of a name here, a bit of a resume, a bit of a reel, and then kind of go off to LA. And at least I'm not, an inexperienced Canadian actor. At least I'm one of the best Canadian actors in LA out of all, so that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
part of it,
yeah. I see what
part of
you're
my
saying.
mentality.
Build that like legacy here too. And you could
Yeah,
also give it like I also sometimes like to look at decisions from a point of like a history narrative. Like if you look at how small and how early in development a country like Canada is, let alone its entertainment system, it's still in its early stages. If in 100 years you were to go back and write the history of Canadian entertainment from the beginning, somewhere in that beginning part of the history could be like, and then actor Jared Bronstein established a reputable name for Canadian actors because of his
yeah,
role in this, and then he went on to do blah blah blah. So like you could totally like build that for yourself like in Canada. It's just like
for
having the
sure. I mean,
confidence to see it through.
Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, like,
Yeah.
they're, both Canadian icons that, not to say they started out here, but, Jim Carrey started out at Yuck Yucks, didn't he? Like,
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I'm
like,
pretty sure he
it's a
he would
local
do Yuck
Toronto
Yuck Yucks.
comedy
Yeah,
club.
yeah.
Like,
When he was super young, like I think he was like 16 or something crazy like that. You pulling it up?
fuck, you're
What
chopping
happened?
out on me here.
Oh no. Oh, it's telling me
Just
my
a little
internet
slow. We good
connection.
now? I could hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me? I think we're good. It told me my internet connection was
I could hear
unstable.
you. It was just a little choppy.
Okay. Sorry about that, podcast listeners. Some brief connection issues, but we're back at it. We persevered.
That's it. Didn't give up. Um, but yeah, so for sure. And also, look, I won't lie, man. I I don't know what I could say here, so maybe I'll just tell you afterwards. But I've had opportunities because Netflix built a studio here, and opportunities come in here for filming stuff. So I had an audition for I'll say a Netflix project about a month ago. With it's an untitled project with a very big actor, very big, like a big named actor, and
Sean Connery. No.
no, isn't he dead? Is he dead? He just died, didn't he?
Yeah.
I hope it's not with him then. God forbid.
Yeah.
um, but I did the audition and I was like, I felt okay about it. I was like, yeah, I got coaching, whatever. Then like 3 weeks later, a month later, I got another audition for a different role of the same show. So my coach was like, that means that you booked the room. It means they saw your tape. Maybe they didn't like you for that role, but they liked you enough to bring you back for another role, which is a great sign. So I just did that audition like about 2 weeks ago. It's shooting, I think, like April till August. So it's different, months over the course of the next few months that it's filming. But it's with like a big named actor, and it's a Netflix production. It's a US production. So even being in Canada, they're casting it in Toronto. So it's like, it's not like you physically have to be in LA to get the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a role that it's like, I get this, who knows what it leads to, right? It's like, it's not like it used to be, especially with self tapes now and Zoom and being able to do it like this virtually. You don't need that. You don't need to be there as much as you used to back in the day. So I think that's also a big part of it. I've just been getting a lot of opportunity here to audition, so I've been taking that by the reins and really just kind of going all in on it and realizing, like, if I want it to be my career, I have to treat it like it's my career. Coming right out of school, raring to go. I'm excited. I'm like, I'm going to make $1 million acting. And then you kind of like deal with the realities of life. You know what I mean? You want to move out, or you want to pay off your school loans, this and that. So you get the odd job here and there. It's working at Starbucks. Then I started doing promo work. Then I started doing DJ entertainment and emceeing. And then I started working for the YouTube channels. And it's like, it kind of, I don't want to say distracts you, but it's like when you're not getting auditions every single day, you're not able to book work to make money. You focus on other things to make money. Now I'm almost 28 and I'm like, shit, like I graduated college, like, I don't know, 2015. So 8 years ago. Is that right? 9 years, 7. Math isn't good. I don't know how I graduated college.
Yeah.
About 7 years ago.
10 years ago.
And I'm like thinking like, I'm not acting full time. Like, what am I doing? And then I realized like, I've been okay, my dog's probably going to keep barking now because,
it's all good.
It's dinner time. This is what he fucking does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. You get very caught up in the short term of like, I'm going to speak for myself, but of like, I got to pay off my debts. I got to do this, along the way, I'll get auditions and I'll act, but it's like, I got to work on things to pay off my stuff first. And now at 28, I'm realizing like, no, like you want to be I'm not that I want to be, I am an actor. And I've realized like, it's literally as crazy as it sounds. So like one audition changes everything. And that doesn't mean I'm a movie star, but it's like, even if I book a role, like a recurring role or a lead role on a show, and I'm, I can make like, let's say 25, 30 grand in 3 or 4 months compared to like, making a couple $1,000 every 2 weeks, working, 40-hour weeks, whatever it is. It's like, that's kind of the step you got to take of like, just suffer a little bit. And it might be longer than you want to, but by just working here and there to just get by, you're never, ever going to get ahead. So you may as well put yourself in a bit more of a hole, go all in your career, because when it does pay off, you'll get way further ahead.
You truly, in that kind of setting, you have to like quadruple your efforts, basically. Like you have to spend if this is like the path that, if someone listening to this, if this is the path that you want to choose and the path that you want to go down, you need to like put every single moment into thinking about like acting, like obsessing about acting, like studying it, taking classes, updating headshots, going to auditions, like asking yourself, like, do I need a better agent? Like, if you don't have one, how do I get one? Like, it has to be an obsession.
And that's it, man. Taking classes is huge.
It can't even be treated like a regular job. It has to be treated like this, like, psychotic, like, thing.
And there's more to it, right? Like, I obviously with the lockdowns, I hadn't gone to the gym. It's been open. Gym's been open like a month now. I still haven't gone because I'm like, like people don't wear masks there and they just don't give a shit. And I'm like, I'm not there yet that I'm like over it all. Like, it doesn't, And granted, I could work out at home and I'm like kind of lazy. I've gained a little bit of weight. By no means am I fat, but I've gained weight that it's like, I usually go out for like, the jock, the athletic looking one that I'm like, well, I have an audition now as a baseball player. And they're like, wear some form fitting stuff to see how athletic you are. And I'm like, well, got to suck in my gut a little bit, I guess. And it's like, those are little things that as an actor, it's like, it's more than just going to class or just working on your audition. You got to maintain your look. Like my hair is getting long. I got to cut it soon. So I look like my headshots. If I want to dye my hair, I got to get new headshots. Like it's so much more than there's the craft or the artist side of like, I want to, act and be in the moment. But then there's the business side of like, you got to be marketable. You got to maintain a certain image. I get lazy shaving my beard. Like this is considered long for me, quote unquote. I don't really care that much because I can get by with it. But like, there's times that I got to shave it.
Like clean shaven.
Yeah, man. I've had auditions. Or I did a short film where I had to go clean shaven. And then my headshot has some stubble. So then it's like, I got to tell my agent, hey, I went clean shaven, just so you know, if you're going to submit me for anything with a beard, let them know it grows quickly, but I don't have one right now for the audition. Like little things like that it's like, why does this matter? If they're shooting something in April, why do you need a beard today in January? Well, that's just because that's what they want. Like, just, and
they're weird. Like,
yeah. And it's like, then, you take classes and then it's like you get an audition and sometimes your agent's like, hey, you should get coaching for this. And it's like, well, are the classes not good? No, the classes are for different scenes that you're doing. You need coaching on this specific one. So you could nail this audition. And it's like, okay, here's $100 just in hopes that maybe I get a call back. No callback. Okay. Just spent $100. But again, I got coaching on that one Netflix thing.
Going to be that's what set you apart. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, Did I get my second Netflix audition because I got coaching for that first one? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But I've also read that when you audition for anything, you're not auditioning for that part, you're auditioning for the next part. So to bring it back to that Netflix thing is like, I auditioned for the one role and maybe my audition wasn't right for that one, but it was good enough they brought me back for another role. And it's like, that's how the industry is. It's not, you go for a job interview, you don't get the job, that's it. It's like, you go for a job interview. My buddy JJ Salt, however you guys might know him, my buddy that I host with, I co-MC with sometimes. DJ is one of my best friends. I think it was The Expanse he was on. He did not. I think it was The Expanse. I don't know. He's been in a lot of stuff, but he had an audition for it, and then he booked it. And they're like, the director told him like, "Hey, your audition was so great. We didn't book you for the role you auditioned for. We actually made another character just because we liked your tape."
Oh wow.
and I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't The Expanse, but I'm pretty sure it was. But he was on some set where the director literally said, "We added another character just because we liked your tape and we wanted to include you somehow." And it's like, that's the industry that we're in. There's no job that you'll ever find where it's like, "Hey, we're looking for a marketing associate. You know what? We just created another job just to give you some money because we liked you." Like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But in this industry, it does. And that's the crazy thing is like,
because it's all
you could
make-believe
literally,
anyways.
that's what I mean. Like, none of it is real. So, and it's like, they have so much money. They don't know what to do with it. Like, it's just, yeah. And that's the thing is I've asked myself, like, is there something else that I could do? And it's like, at the end of the day, no, I want to make money. I want to support a family. I want to support myself. But ultimately I'm like, I could get a job, doing business, whatever that is, any kind of business job. But I'm like, would I genuinely be happy wearing a suit and tie every day, even making 100,000? The money seems nice, but I'm like, I wouldn't enjoy my day-to-day life. And like, don't get me wrong, this life's very fucking stressful. Like, like I said, I got a couple auditions I got to do after this.
But it has
I was working all day, like, yeah, ups and downs. And there's times where you don't get auditions for 2 weeks and you're like, is it even worth it? Like, I'm a shit actor. And then you get that audition where it's like, whoa, like, this is a life-changing audition. You get a call back. Like, there's so much to it. And there's no like blueprint. There's no, oh, you've gotten this many auditions, now it's this. Like, Mark Ruffalo was talking about how he had, I think, 300 and something auditions before he got a role.
That's
other people right out of school, like theater school, will become like Timothy Chalamet. Guy's been a star since he was like 17 or 18. So like, then you have child actors who grow up like, I think Tobey Maguire, wasn't he a child actor?
Yeah. Him and
Leo,
like Leo.
him and Leo.
Like, yeah.
Like, Leo's been in the spotlight since he was like 10. He's in his like 40s or 50s now. 30, 40 years of just dominating Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you have people like Patrick Stewart, who got Star Trek when he was like 40. And it's like, it's not like he decided to act when he was 39. Like, he's probably been doing it his whole life and he just stuck with it and he had ups and downs and then boom.
Mr. Clean commercials and then.
But like, that's the thing, right? Is there's no, and I was talking about this last night. I did like an actors roundtable. The thing that makes this industry so interesting is there's no time limit. There's no, a lot of other jobs like, oh, well, he's 60. So how much longer is he going to be around with the company? There's none of that. You could literally be 80 and then pursue acting and then have a career as an actor from 80 to the rest of your life.
The guy from Squid Game, the old man in Squid Game. He was just like winning awards and stuff.
Came out of nowhere.
The senior citizen.
Right. So it's like, there's actors that have been in the spotlight for a while that you don't even, like B-list, that you don't realize, but they've been doing it their whole lives. There's actors that make it early on and then lose everything. There's actors that make it late. Like, there is no real blueprint. And there are actors that I look up to, Matthew McConaughey, Bradley Cooper, for whatever reason that I have. I see myself going a similar path as them, given where I'm at currently in my life, I guess I would say. So it's important to have, I guess, people that you look up to or want to emulate their success. But there's no real, work your way up the ranks and you'll get here. Like, it doesn't exist. You could do it your whole life and never make it. And I think for me, it's the uncertainty that keeps me going. If someone literally told me my fortune and they're like, you're never going to make it, like, there's no point, then maybe I would be like, okay, let me get a career that makes a lot of money so I can just do it on the side for fun. But because there is no certainty, like, we're having this conversation right now, as crazy as it sounds, dude, I could find out that I booked something and I could be on a flight to LA next week. and
Yeah.
like just gone.
And
Like,
people looking back on this conversation, they're just like, damn, remember when Jared was not famous and he was friends with Johnny?
right? Like that's literally how it goes. I
Yeah,
wouldn't lose my friends. I would cut off all my friends.
I want to be so famous, I get to cut off all my friends.
That's all I really want. And a blue check mark. That's all I really want.
Yeah. A little blue check next to my name.
So
That'd be
that's it.
great.
Matches my wall.
Oh, shit. I just want to be famous enough that, I don't know, internet connection issues. That's it. That's
For
all
me,
I
famous
ask
enough that I
for.
don't have to live with my parents anymore, man. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Just start a, I just want to be famous enough. Leave your comment
.com.
down below. I was gonna
I just
say
want to be
like
famous enough.
fill in
.com.
your note. I just want to be famous enough to blank. Leave that down
It's
below.
like it's like that wall that people would fill in, like, I just want to blank. Yeah, I think that's a good website. And then you just comment what you want. Maybe you find a mutual match, and then you guys, that's how you find your future husband, wife, partner. Who knows?
Yeah. Call it
Yeah.
Famer.
Yeah.
That's the dating
Only
app
only
version of
fame.
it. Only
Make it only
fame.
fame.
Just jacking names left, right, and center.
That's fine. You gotta replicate what works, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up all of your socials here, but is there anything else you want to leave the fans with on terms of the word perseverance?
Yeah, really. Just take it from me. You never know how close you are, so just keep going. Not to say by any means that I'm in any position to be like my life's set, but things have happened that like one day I'm like, is this really a viable career for me? And then the next day I'm auditioning for major roles for major networks that I'm like, who am I to get this opportunity? You know, like it's not like when they audition people, they don't audition 100,000. They see maybe 10 people, 15 people. Like it depends on the role, but they don't have time to go through every tape. They're seeing me for whatever reason. So it's like, just stick with it. Like I thought right out of school I'd be a star, and I'm far from it, but it's like I'm still doing it for whatever reason. So if you love it, you stick with it.
I think you gotta also like cut yourself some slack too when you're describing
For sure.
it, because even like the wording of saying that, like, I don't know why they want to see me, but you know what I mean? Like, no, dude, they want to see you for a reason. Like, there's a reason
Yeah.
why they want to see you. Like,
Well, and that's the
it
thing,
might
right?
not be apparent to you like right now,
In the
but
moment.
like
Yeah.
in the moment, but there'll be a moment where it'll click and you'll be like, oh, that's what it is.
And
My
that's another
acting
thing, right? Is
ability. It's just your
giving
acting.
giving yourself the credit. Like looking back, man, I did a conservatory program at Humber. It was 2 years, 5 days a week, where it's like just nonstop in front of the camera, memorizing, a monologue for one class, a scene for another class, a scene for another class, a dance choreography for another class, all in the same week while working at Starbucks 3-4 times a week. Like, and I managed it. On top of that, I graduated and I took more acting classes, and I still take acting classes. And so it's like, I'm realizing the more you invest, I did a student film for free. I have an audition for another student film where I'm not going to get paid. It's not about the money. It's just about building a resume, meeting people, getting in front of the camera, updating your demo reel. Like there's so many things that you could do. And yeah, that's why they want to see me, because I'm not, just sitting on my ass being like, hey, I went to school for 2 years and I'm consistently putting in the work. And it's, to be honest, one casting director keeps bringing me back because she obviously sees the work that I'm putting in. It's one thing to get an audition and then never see them again, which has happened to me before. I saw these casting directors like 4 years ago. I bombed the audition. I haven't seen them since. Probably why. Maybe they'll see me again. I don't know. But that's why they're bringing me back, because I put the work in and they could see that. And it shows in my work. So really, you got to just not only prove to others or yourself, but the universe how badly you want it. And it rewards you based on what you put out there. And I really believe that. I'm not a spiritual guy, really. So
I say just look yourself in the mirror and call yourself a genius every day.
Hey, it's like that meme where you point at the mirror, you got this.
Follow Jared Bronstein on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, Jared Pepper Bronstein.
Did my video come out? I had it scheduled for 6:30. I don't see it there.
Oh, there it is. 44 minutes ago.
Okay, there it is.
Play Wordle.
Yeah.
I
played Wordle. Do you play Wordle?
I haven't done it in like 2 days.
Oh man, yesterday's word was
Kim was telling me
dumb.
the last 2 have been pretentious.
Yesterday's word was just stupid, dude.
All right.
Just dumb.
Follow Jared on Twitter as well at Bronst7 and Bronst7 as well on Instagram. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me back, man.
Second time here.
It was fun. Always a pleasure.
I want to have like a few people that I just have continuously back as like recurring guests. So, like Sean, probably Patrick, like
Yeah.
Devin, like guests like that, where I just have recurring. Yeah.
I think really you got to just set up a spaceship looking studio in Ottawa and then
I
have
want to do that.
Patrick, Sean, and I come down and we'll just
Yeah.
drink and then smoke. And then in October, we'll all pledge to not drink or smoke for the month.
Just recreate the Canadian timeline.
Yeah, literally. Let's just be
Let's just
the
copy them
Canadian
exactly,
version,
but be the
the Canadian version of them. Yeah. And I'll be Ari because I'm Jewish. There you go. I can make all the jokes about,
Yes.
the things that he says.
We're planning the movie right now. If you're listening on Spotify and iTunes, thank you. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review and share the episode with your friends. That always helps too. I always appreciate that. But until next time, everyone, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers. Keep it classy. Thanks for listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.